One day more.
Cosette?
Another day, another destiny.
Mademoiselle?
It's never-ending road to Calvary.
Where's the child, Cosette?
This film is not your first time performing the music of Les Mis, right? The first time you stepped in the shoes of Cosette was age 15, is that right?
Age 15, yeah. It was a recital.
Do you remember the first time you saw Les Mis, the show?
11, I was 11. It was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And my mom took me because we'd been listening to the music a lot. I think for an 11-year-old, it didn't resonate with me about the historical aspects and like the social inequity. It was more about the love stories that were happening in front of me and the songs. I was just so blown away. You learn more and more about this every year, and I've never stopped listening.
Tom Hooper, the director of Les Mis, of course, has referred to your audition as the most thrilling audition I've ever done, which leads me to ask, what did you do at that? That was a hell of a 16 bars, sir.
By the way, it was 3 hours long.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, so he's probably editing the good bits. The first 20 minutes was pretty much like a, I suppose, normal audition. He sat back on a chair, I sang my 4 songs or whatever it was, and then he said, okay, now I want to get back to the beginning. And Tom's difficult to read, so I certainly wasn't getting any of this from it, but I could tell I was the first person to audition for any of the roles. I think for him, it was the first time he saw it was possible to do what he dreamt of, which was to sing live. And everybody at the time was telling him, can't be done. Technically, and also, it was just too big a risk. So I think maybe that's what contributed to his feeling.
Yes, it's true. There's a child, and the child is my daughter. And her father abandoned us, leaving us flat. Now she lives with an innkeeper man and his wife, and I pay for the child. What's the matter with that?
Tell me about the differences between communicating an intimate musical number like I Dreamed a Dream. You know, if you're on stage, they've got to sell it to the cheap seats. That's a whole different thing. Yeah. As opposed to on screen where it's very tight, and in your case, a very continuous shot.
In our version, it is an intimate song. I think in the stage play, it's more of an anthem. To sing it as in that way wouldn't have necessarily translated into the language of film. And I just kept thinking about, you know, in the performance, because I didn't know it was going to be edited in one take, but I kept thinking about performances like Judy Garland in A Star is Born, and she did like so many of her musical numbers in one big long take, and then she does that one scene where she breaks down. I wasn't afraid of the sustained performance aspect. I mean, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to achieve it, but I also knew that it was achievable because I'd seen other people do it.
The main difference is literally that, is filling the space, filling a 2,000-seater audience with your voice, and also heightening your emotions so that it can be read by people at the back, on the back row. But there's a joy in live theatre. There's a thrill you get that's like no other. I think, you know, having played this character for a year on stage, I definitely kind of had such a great understanding of this role, and it's something that's very sort of special to me. But what was interesting about this was that we were able to allow more details from the novel to sort of come through, because when a camera's right there, it picks up on the kind of more intimate moments and every like flicker of the eye, every decision. And so that was so exciting for me, being so used to stage, to be able to explore that. With film, it's like the most amazing thing is how intimate you can be.
A heart full of love. A heart full of song. So I'm doing everything all wrong. Oh God, for shame, I do not even know your name.
This is, of course, your second time working with Tom, actually.
Yeah.
What was it like to reunite with him?
It was amazing. I worked with Tom about 6 or 7 years ago with a thing called Elizabeth for HBO with Helen Mirren, and in my last audition he said, Eddie, can you ride a horse? To which I responded an affirmative yes. Cut to 2 weeks later, I was in Lithuania atop this huge black stallion, having spurs attached to my feet with 40 Lithuanian stunt riders behind me, and I realised at that point I probably should have told the truth. And they called action, and I almost killed myself, I almost killed half the crew. I was doing this down there. And Tom Hooper came out from behind Helen Mirren, who was in a huge Elizabethan dress, and shouted, "You're a bloody liar, Redman!" And so it's taken years of kind of begging him, really, to consider employing me again. But there are some moments in this film in which my character rides a horse, and they were put in purely by Tom for his own sadistic humour.
You've said, I believe, that the role of Jean Valjean required more emotional and physical commitment than any role you've played. Is that true? That's a heck of a statement coming from Wolverine.
Physically it would be up there with a Wolverine. Yeah. Wolverine obviously has its challenges. This had equal challenges because he's known for his strength, and yet
Tom said to me, he goes, I need you to be unrecognisable at the beginning. I don't want people to see it's you, and I don't want them to think it's Wolverine, even though you're strong. And so it was definitely as difficult as I've ever done. I trained a lot. I was on a very strict diet. But then I got to put on 30 pounds from the beginning of the shoot to the later. Maybe that wasn't the most difficult.
So different now.